What's up with it? It's the people's coach, Cornelius Cole. Yeah, and this is Diehardfan. Um, I'm bringing you the show live from Chester, Virginia today. Um, Go Cavaliers, close to DC, of course. So, um, shout out to the Washington Commander players. I'm up here in this area, so um, let's get it today. A lot of interesting things that happened, but first, I want to say rest in heaven to um, Paul Silas, great coach, great mentor of the NBA, player, three-time champion, coached quite a few teams. Um, a lot of people may know him as coaching the Charlotte Hornets, but um, he also has a son that coaches now for the hometown Houston Rockets. Shout out H Town, um, and a special shout to Sports for America for putting me on. Um, we're gonna get into it today about the sports, though. We're gonna another rest in heaven to Mike Leach, coach for Mississippi State, the Mississippi State Bulldogs. Uh, coached Texas Tech. That's where I knew him from. Mostly, he coached the Texas Tech. Had that spread offense, that air raid offense, and put a lot of relevant names in the game. Um, to this day, the impact that people have, and I want to start there. Last week, I talked a little bit about Dion moving to Colorado, and I started to see all the mixed reviews and oh, he's selling out and all that. I just want to go on record saying Dion did not sell out. It's a come up. It's to spread the culture. Sometimes we as people got to stop being so selfish with things and let the moves be made. I'm sure money had a little bit to do with it, but he didn't sell out for money. He taking a lot of those kids with him. Actually, he taking a lot of people with him. So um, for me, I think that's a great thing what Dion's doing as far as he brought uh, a spotlight to Jackson State, brought the spotlight. If Dion wasn't there, would you have ever seen ESPN's college game day there? I mean, you have to ask yourself those questions, people. Um, all the good things that come out of things. HBCUs were already getting uh, televised. Some of the games were televised, but bringing the NFL Combine and all that stuff, and the NBA is next. All those things are on the horizon. One man didn't do it all by himself. Um, Many people have been trying for years, but Dion just has that kind of impact. So let him take that impact to Colorado and continue to spread, um, and continue to help people, man. That's what Dion's about right now, helping them kids not only get educations, but also helping them out. Those that want to achieve athletic goals and go after it. Uh, can't fault a person for that. So raise up off the sellout stuff. Now, I'm gonna start. How about the Lions? The Detroit Lions. I was just talking noise about those Lions too. If you remember me saying the Detroit Lions, when are they gonna get it together? And it seemed like they're getting it together at the right time. Not saying that they'll make a strong playoff push, but it seemed like they're coming on strong and they unwavering. And how about Jared Goff? Thought he was dead in the water, man, but it looked like he playing some of his best football. Um, I don't know if he could get it done for McVay, but you got to remember he did go to a Super Bowl with McVay. So bringing that experience to the Lions, it seemed like he's a true leader, and they putting up a lot of points. If the defense get a little bit tighter, the Lions might be something to reckon with. Same thing, Steve Wilkes. Since I'm the people's coach and I love to talk coaching, let's talk Steve Wilkes. Steve Wilkes doing a job down there in Carolina, and yes, they are coming. The Detroit Lions are a good young team. I'm anxious to see, but I'm anxious to see what they're gonna do. Um, in the next few weeks, how much trouble they're gonna bring to teams. They get ready to play the Jets. They might just dim the Jets day up, which I'm gonna get into that a little bit later. But the Panthers, Steve Wilkes takes over and they fired their coach Matt Rule in the middle of the season. Got rid of Christian McCaffrey, got rid of Robbie Anderson. You looking at the pieces that, and and you say, what do the Carolina Panthers have? Oh, Baker Mayfield's out the door. You say, what do they have? Look like they have a coach that understands coaching, and he has them rallying to continue. The Bucks Hills right now, well, every team's still alive in that NFC South as poorly as the Bucks have played. I still think the Tampa Bay Bucks are going to win the NFC South, but not without a fight. It may come down to that head-to-head against Carolina to decide if Carolina can stay on the streak, can continue to win. I don't know. I don't know if Wilkes will be considered for the job, but he should be. In my opinion, he should be, because in these days, that's one of the things I want to talk about. A lot of coaches get a pass when players get injured, players get traded, whatever happens. It seems like leagues are now in the habit of giving coaches a pass, and it's like Steve Wilkes shows that, hey, you can do a whole lot with a little bit, because they're not the most talented squad, but to get them all to play together and to get them all to believe that they can win, that's a huge accomplishment. So I would think that, I know they got to go through the process, and they have to follow the rules of the league and interview coaches. But I think Steve Wilkes, he should get the job. He gets my vote, but I'm just a diehard fan. But check it. So coaches getting passes. I want to start there. The injury to Kyler Murray has just saved, this is in my mind, has just saved Kingsbury's job. Cliff King's job. He just saved it. Just saved it. He was already making excuses by pawning it off on Kyler, saying, oh, well, Hopkins was out for weeks. He was suspended. And then he was saying, oh, all of the injuries, to our receivers, to our offense. And, he was already preparing, but that's for himself. It was just a cover up to when it's really him that should be in the line right now. So that when Kyler Murray, unfortunately, went down, but I think it saved Kingsbury's job. Now he has an excuse. I don't have my quarterback. My quarterback's out. But they're 4-9. The record should show everything about what this coach has done with all that talent. You lose a piece. Like I said, look at what Wilkes is doing, and then look at Kingsbury. You can see the difference in coaching. Kingsbury definitely has had more, even with injuries, even with the injuries to players. So it shouldn't be a lifesaver that his quarterback, the starting quarterback, got hurt, but it's going to save him. That's going to be a saving grace right there. Kingsbury, he came out of nowhere, first of all, but that's not a knock against him. That's an organizational thing. You chose this coach, and he said, I want Kyler Murray, so I can coach Kyler Murray, but they just don't seem like a good team. I mean, you see Kyler Murray had lost his temper a couple of times with his head coach, play calling, but we're starting to see a lot of that. Speaking of that, you seen Mac Jones do it. You see players getting into it. You saw a defensive player in Russell Wilson's face. You see a lot of things happen when teams are struggling that shouldn't be struggling, or they feel like they shouldn't be struggling. Like the Denver Broncos, no doubt Hackett is in the line of fire. Like going through the coaches right now, Hackett, Staley, Kingsbury, something's got to change. Josh McDaniels, I've already mentioned that with the Raiders. Talented, but Staley has a chance to turn things around, but I think it's the players that's turning things around. That Justin Herbert looks like he's a winner, man. Herbert look like he coming with it. Herbert look like he's not an elite quarterback, but he's getting there. And he's taking everybody with him. I think the decision making of the coach it just bewilders me. Like if you saw the Chargers Dolphins get past week, what was he thinking? I mean, you go for it on fourth down at the most inopportune times, where it's like, hey, sometimes you got to take the points, or sometimes you got to punt the ball. Put the other team. Now he got bailed out because Tua played pitiful. which I'm gonna get into that a little bit too. What's going on with Miami? Miami falling off all of a sudden. Uh-oh. And I think the difference is if you're football people, um, yes, coaching is killing the entire team. You've seen Keenan Allen had something to say about it earlier on this year. A lot of the players mumbling and moaning and groaning, mumbling. You can just sideline sometimes. Like, what are we thinking? What are we doing? You can just watch the reaction of the players when when Staley makes a rash decision or a decision they don't agree with. Um, but I commend the players for hanging in there and saying, "Hey, we're gonna go out and we're gonna perform." No doubt that the Chargers are underperforming. Um, their record doesn't indicate what they have, and I know it's been some injuries. I was on first formation earlier today, and it was the injuries were mentioned, but sometimes it's not the injuries. You can just definitely see that it reflects the leadership. But the players are continuing to rise above. So if the players can get there, if they can get that last playoff spot, which several teams playing for that spot, I think Staley will save himself by his players. I think Justin Herbert is going to bail him out. He's going to bail not only his team out, he's going to bail his coach out as well. A lot of times you don't see that happening. Now, on the other side of things, Michael Parsons. I love it. I love it. Talking noise. Going at Jalen Hurts. Said, is he an MVP? If you know, he was on Von Miller's podcast, and Von Miller asked a question, and Michael Parsons said, is it Jalen Hurts MVP, or is it the team, or is it the system? That's just divisional retard. People read a lot of stuff into stuff, but you got to leave it where it is. And what is he supposed to say? The Eagles is one of his biggest rivals. It's a division rival. We want to beat them. No, I'm not giving them any credit. I don't blame Michael Parsons for saying what he said. It's like, it's not harmful. What he's saying is, hey, I got to play them guys again, and I'm the best player on the field when I touch the field with them. I do think Michael Parsons is the best player on the field in any game, which I want to go there right now. My Cowboys. I don't know what we're doing. 1 week we look great. The next week we struggle. Now, I knew it was going to be some struggle because playing the home H-Town, they're not going to lay down in those intrastate rivalries. It's a big deal. That 45 north-south thing right there, it's a big deal right there. So the Texans weren't just playing ball, they representing the city of Houston, so they had to come with it. You knew they were going to come with something, and they playing the Dallas Cowboys. Houston in Dallas, if you know story people as fans go, then you know that it's a big deal. So Cowboys, I don't know. I don't know if it's Dak. I think it's a combination of, but some of these games, it look like we just fall asleep against teams that we should handle easily. We should have handled Houston a little bit easier than what we did. It shouldn't have took a 98-yard drive, but it did take a 98-yard drive, and we can settle with that. Speaking of drives, what about Baker Mayfield? I don't want to hear no more talk about players not getting the playbook and things like that. If a guy can step off the plane and win a game like that, if a guy can step off the plane and win a game, not knowing the playbook, yeah, I agree. It's about Dak. The mistakes that he's making, they costly, but they haven't cost it so far right now in the regular season. But yeah, he got to clean that up before the playoffs. But my thing is, stop putting Dak in those positions. I think it's the play calling sometimes, and I'm sure Mike McCarthy would agree since he's not in charge of calling the plays. Since it's Kellen Moore calling the plays, it's like you get a little Dak happy, and it's like, stop doing that. Putting them in, especially when you got Pollard. You got Pollard that can run the rock. Zeke looking a little better, and I think Zeke is looking better because he has competition back there. Because Pollard is, Pollard shining right now. Pollard shining big time. So I think that's making a difference in what you're seeing out of Zeke now. He ain't just saying feed me no more and taking the money, not doing anything. Zeke got to come with it. But at the same time, Dallas, what are you doing? And then Michael Parsons. Back to that talking noise. It's cool to talk, but our defense didn't do anything. No sacks against the Texans. You would figure that's at least 5, 6 sacks, something, 3, 4 sacks. No sacks against either quarterback that played for the Texans. What are we doing? It's like, what are we doing? Sometimes I don't like the way the schemes are set up for the Cowboys. How we use Mike Parsons. Sometimes it's like you got to let him go. I know he's outside linebacker and you want him in coverage at times because of his speed. But at the same time, when it's a quarterback like that, like there's no reason for him not to have any sacks. I mean, if he was going to talk noise on the Von Miller show, that's probably what he should have talked about. Like, man, I'm disappointed that we didn't get a sack against the Texans. I mean, but hey, go H-Town. H-Town held their own, which I think Lovie Smith is still going to have a job next year because it looks like Houston's like really trying to get a good position in the draft. They're trying to get a good draft pick. And I think Houston's best move is to take a quarterback. I don't know if it's going to be Bryce Young specifically, but they should take a quarterback. If Caleb Williams was coming out, we know it would be him. Shout out to him for winning. The Heisman Trophy, I got to go there for a minute. We know now that, normally you can pick the best offensive player. I don't know if Caleb Williams was the best, but I know in my mind, and I've said this before, I think it was him playing on that gimpy leg that won him the Heisman. What a gutsy play to go out there and play limping like that, to finish a game like that after suffering an injury, and even though they lost to Utah, but they shouldn't have lost to Utah. But that's a team thing. That's a team thing. Sometimes the individual gets called out for the team. And speaking of individuals getting called out for the team, what's going on with the GOAT? What's going on with the GOAT? I've been defending him most of the season, but it's no defense for what you saw against San Fran. Man, you at home, your birthplace, you at home in front of 80 family members, in front of 80 family and friends, 80 plus family and friends. And that's what y'all go out there and do? What y'all go out and do? Hello. What's up? So, but that's what y'all go out there and do, Tampa Bay. I didn't really understand that. Like, what a awful display for the GOAT. I know San Fran has a good defense. Take nothing away from San Francisco. They got a good defense, but come on, Tom Brady. That's how you go out. Like, that's how you go out. He's looking. No, he's not looking good. The whole team's not looking good, but Brady's definitely not looking good. Besides that one pass that didn't count, that he put on the money for a touchdown that was called back. Man, he throwing the ball at their feet. He overthrowing, and I don't know what's up with him and Mike Evans. They normally had this great rapport, but it seemed like Mike Evans lost a step or two, or his hands not there. And then if you go back and watch, like if you watch the games like I watch the games, and you see some of the play, the effort is not there. These guys, alligator arming passes, they're not even running routes. Like they stopped their route in the middle. It's like, what's the disconnect? I don't understand. Are the Bucks just saying, are they one of those things like I've seen basketball teams get, they've already won, they've proven a point, and I don't have anything else to prove? I mean, I don't know. They're definitely older. But I would think that now you should turn it over. I want to see more the rest of this year, Rashad White, the rookie. He seems to be the only thing out there that really wants it bad enough. I mean, I know Brady can win games in the end, and that's still scary if they end up winning the South. I said that last week. That's still going to be scary if the Cowboys stay in that 5th position. But it's not as scary when you're looking at what Brady's doing. It's like if Brady's going to play like that, then everybody stands a chance against him. But give props to San Fran. And what about Purdy? Well, you got to see a week of him, and he played well against the Bucks, and the Bucks got a pretty good defense. He's using his weapons. I hope Debo will be all right. I want every team at full strength the teams that are looking good for the playoffs, all these teams. Here's my thing with the so-called experts and analysts and all this stuff. I listen to tons of it, watch tons of it. Here's my problem: every team cannot be Super Bowl contenders. If so, then this is the first time you got Super Bowl contenders. I literally right now see three teams that are Super Bowl contenders. Um, maybe four if you throw in the Cincinnati Bengals. But I see Kansas City, I see Philadelphia Eagles, and if we get our stuff together, I see the Dallas Cowboys. This talk of San Fran, they don't even know who their quarterback going to be, much less what they're going to have. Health is going to be the thing for San Fran. Now they got a good defense, and defense wins championships. But I think when push comes to shove, we're going to see where San Fran really at. Now, as far as the Eagles go, um, man, what can you say about the Eagles other than impressive? 9-8 last year. What they're doing this year is unbelievable. Hurts, but I more look at the whole team, but I also look at the coach. The coach got those guys firing all cylinders. And before the season started, all the talk was Dak Prescott was the best quarterback in the division. I don't know. I think Hurts took that personal. I mean, he's playing like he took it personal. And I know that the system does cater to him. And I wish more teams would understand that and start catering more to the specifications of the quarterback that you have. You got to use the specifics of the personnel that you have. And it seems like they using him the right way. Sirianni is using Hurts the right way. Know when to throw the ball, know when to run the ball. And let's face it, I say the Cowboys can get with them if we remember that they physical. That's a physical team, so you got to come and play physical. Speaking of physical, look at what's been going on with Miami and Tua. You get in Tua's face, you push, you bump and run. I never understood why nobody wants to bump and run Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle anyway, off the jump. Like, that's your strongest weapon against those guys because both of those guys are not the biggest guys out there. So it's like, get up on them. But if you're playing 10, 15 yards back, you're scared of the speed, you're going to lose every time. You're going to get beat every time. Now that you start to see the last 2 weeks, they playing physical, pushing them at the line of scrimmage, knocking off the timing of the passes. Tua don't look so great. And if you hit them, they don't catch the ball. Now, if you saw the Sunday night game, a couple of those passes that Tua threw would have been caught by Tyreek Hill, but he didn't want to try to catch that ball. You could definitely see it. Cut off his route, stop. He didn't want to take no more hits. Sometimes that's what you got to do. You got to bring that physicality, the physicalness of some of the teams are ramping up. And I think the most physical game of last week was the Jets and the Buffalo Bills. Not just because Mike White took a hit in that game, but I think just both teams were physical with each other. And that's what you get sometimes in those division rivalries. It reminds me of Pittsburgh and the Ravens back in the days. It was just real physical, like the Commanders when they played the Giants, and they getting ready to play again. So who knows? Somebody got to win this next one though. Tie games with a lot at stake, but the physicality sometimes changes the game, and I think that's what teams got to be worried about. No, I think Miami beat Buffalo this week. That's a good question, but I don't think Miami can beat Buffalo this week. And I say that from a standpoint of Buffalo. They know what they got to do. They already behind in the division. They've only won 2 games now in the division. So they got to even things up. Miami got the best of them the first time around. I think Buffalo, if they want to be up there with Kansas City and Cincinnati, they got to bring it. Now Cincinnati it seems like it's inevitable that they're going to overtake the Baltimore Ravens for the AFC North. some gonna say, "Oh, that's because Lamar Jackson is hurt." No, it's because the Bengals were in the Super Bowl last year, and it seemed like they know when. Right now, they starting to get healthy. They getting a lot of players back. They lost a player. They lost a couple of players, but they getting the core of their players back, especially on offense. And Joe Burrow. Joe Burrow seems to be. Joe Burrow reminds me of a young Joe Montana, where he's just cool, man. Like nothing seems to bother him. He seems, no matter how many sacks he takes in the game, he still thinks he can win the game because he takes a lot of hits in games, but he's still stepping up and he's still making the plays when he has to make the plays. And what makes them dangerous is that every time they play the Chiefs head to head, they seem to have the Chiefs number until that's changed. But I think Mahomes advantage because Patrick Mahomes make crazy decisions sometimes when he play against other quarterbacks that they talk about. If you haven't noticed about Patrick, instead of making the easy play, he'll go for the home run a lot of times when he doesn't have to. But I think Andy Reid will get in his ear and say, "Hey, man, we want to win." So, and I think Patrick Mahomes. Speaking of Patrick Mahomes, I was talking about this the other day. The no look pass. I mean, Patrick Mahomes. I bet you he can play basketball for real. I bet you he can play pretty much any sport he wants to play. But the no look pass. I mean, that's cheating. That's cheating. I was laughing. I was laughing with the guys from another show about that. Um, it's hilarious what he does, man. It's just I don't even know how to describe it, but they were saying a defense must be frustrated, and I agree. Loving defenses and stuff like that. But what do you do to a guy? What do you do with a guy who's just going to stretch field and then at the last minute he make a miracle play? I mean, and how did he know McKinnon was going to be there? I mean, that's all I want to know is how did he know McKinnon was going to be there? I mean, he just flipped the ball and falls right into McKinnon's hands, touchdown. I think Lamar Jackson, if he had the weapons that Joe Burrow had, it's no doubt in my mind you would be seeing him. We probably wouldn't be talking about Jalen Hurts as much. We probably wouldn't be talking Joe Burrow as much. I just don't think, and I've said this before, Baltimore just doesn't know how to pick receivers. I don't know what they do. They don't put the right pieces, but they never have though. Like this is the first time they've had a quarterback. They won the Super Bowl with Joe Flacco, but he wasn't really all that. They relied on the defense, and I think the defensive-minded coaches sometimes they just don't understand that the league, how much the league has changed. If you get Lamar Jackson some weapons and watch him air it out, watch him you seen what he did with old Deshaun Jackson. Imagine what he can do with some formidable weapons, some younger weapons, fresh legs that can constantly go get it. I think it'll make a difference, but the Ravens, they just don't pick well. Like they picked Bateman in the draft last season. He's just been hurt. He just been so you really don't know what he has. But when you look at all these dynamics and you see it as it's starting to ramp up and the games are starting to be meaningful, everybody's looking ahead. I'm gonna get to my picks and stuff a little bit later, but I also want to touch on the NBA a little bit. The Pelicans, shout out to New Orleans, man. The Pelicans, I didn't believe it, but now I'm waiting to see Zion with Ingram. I'm waiting to see how they mesh. They number one in the West right now. They're looking pretty good. I mean, but Zion came with it. I think Zion is at that point where he knows for him with the injuries that he's had and all the stuff that he had to deal with and what Ja Morant is doing. I think he said, "Hey, I was the best pick. I'm the best overall." And I think right now it's more about, hey, I haven't been there for my teammates, so let me show you what our team can do. I think him, CJ McCollum, and Brandon Ingram, I wouldn't call them a big three, but they're going to be a solid three. They're going to be a solid three, and they're going to be a force to be reckoned with. And with the other pieces that they have, they just look like a pretty good team right now. Now I know it's a long way to go. Another team starting to come up right now. I got to get to them. The Nets are starting to put it together. I don't know what to do postseason wise, but they're starting to look pretty good. Ben Simmons starting to find his mind and find a little bit of game. You know, that game, Ben always had game. It's just not the game that people want him to have. If he plays this game, I think he'll be pretty good. Um, I was asked earlier about the Lakers. Look, no doubt, uh, but I think even though putting up great numbers, you're watching a fallen king because LeBron can only take that team so far. I think that team is only going to go as far as Anthony Davis and Russell Westbrook can take them. LeBron's going to do his part. Don't get me wrong. LeBron's, like I said, he's playing all right, but I don't think he can carry a team throughout a season. Now, postseason may be a difference if they make it to the postseason, but they got to make it to the postseason first, and they got to win the games. That game that I watched last night, they played and they almost beat Boston, but almost beating Boston ain't the same as beating Boston. I mean, came back from 20 points down. Boston lost the lead and then overtime, but it just came down to a few free throws. I think 2 games in a row, Anthony Davis has missed free throws, and those are games that they needed to win. If they would have won those 2 games, we might be holding a different discussion. But almost it don't count in the sports that we watch. It don't count unless you're watching soccer. Then you can say, yeah, they tied. It was almost, but no, almost is. But AD, he's playing good. You don't know how healthy he's going to be. Everybody speculate on his health. But I've always said that when he's healthy, I'm a diehard fan. When he's healthy, man, he's serious business. And I'm going to take a moment and I'm going to say, man, try that energy drink, Nerd Focus. Get your brain right and your game tight with Nerd Focus. Shout out to Deshaun Stewart. So back to the Nets a little bit, just to put it in perspective. The controversy that Kyrie brings is nothing compared to what these guys can do on the basketball court together. Him and KD can be a force regular season wise, like I said, but dealing with the Celtics, that's a team. They got double by that time, but and you got the Bucks, 2 tough teams over there to watch. But Luka, I'm gonna keep harping on the Luka Doncic because I heard it earlier today that he may be the MVP just because they're doing the whole global thing. I think Jason Tatum front runner for MVP right now, but can't argue with Luka. But here's my problem with Luka. He playing lights out, and look at where his team is. His team is barely above, like 1 game above 500 or something, 14-13, whatever their record is. It's all for nothing. It's all for nothing. If you are what your record indicates, then that's where they are with the efforts that Luka's given, with an MVP type season that he's given. Same thing with Joel Embiid. They struggling, even though Embiid running through teams. I mean, Embiid, man. Ever since I talked bad about him a couple of weeks ago, he's picked up his game as far as really playing. From what I've seen, but Embiid, I didn't know he had the 50-point games in him, like he got the 50-point games, and I didn't know he had those in him. But I knew he was good for 30 and 13, 30 and whatever. Some of these guys are seeming to elevate their games at the right time, but I still don't have any belief in the Philadelphia 76ers. I don't have any, at least in my mind, they're not going to make it very far. And another special shout, this time to hockey. I don't follow hockey all the time, but when it's time to say something special, Ovechkin, man. Ovechkin. I always think of that rhyme that J. Cole did years ago, talking about the ice, Ovechkin, but Ovechkin, 800 goals, man. Only 3 people in hockey ever scored that many goals. He makes the third right there with Gordie Howe and the greatest ever, Wayne Gretzky. So, hats off to Ovechkin. And then he did it with one team. These other two guys played for a lot of teams. Loyalty, sticking with one team. And in the modern sports era, that's very difficult. Especially with the free agency and money and the amounts of money being offered. What I'm looking at is, when you see greatness like that, it's only once in a lifetime. Like, for those that follow hockey, you got to say, man, when will that ever be done again in that sport? Like I said, he's only the third person to do it. And, Gretzky was 80s, early 90s, maybe. And then he was out of it. So, it's been a long time coming since things about as long as it's been. As long as it's been since the Cowboys have won a Super Bowl, man. So bouncing around and thinking about all the stuff that we can think about right now, one of the biggest upsets to me, or disappointments, I should say, outside of the Las Vegas Raiders, it's got to be what's going on with the Phoenix Suns right now. Disappointments. Phoenix Suns. I'm disappointed. I mean, I know Booker's hurt or whatever, but how many times Phoenix fans gonna get so excited about what they have, and then you see they just start getting beat by. First of all, Celtics did to them, and then you turn around, you saw what the Rockets did to them last night. Phoenix is a disappointment to me. And again, it was something I was talking about earlier. Chris Paul. He hasn't just been that reliable. Chris Paul, I get it. He's going to be a Hall of Famer. He deserves the Hall of Fame. But as far as helping the team get over the hump or being a part of something, he just hasn't done it. And it just doesn't seem like he's ever going to be able to do it. That's not the problem with Phoenix, though. Phoenix threw a big deal. I'm disappointed in it. They played the Pelicans twice within the last week and a half or so. And the first time, when the Pelicans were winning, game's over, but with 4 seconds left, Zion decides to dunk the ball anyway. Oh, all of that unsportsmanlike. No. You're supposed to stop the other team. If you can't stop the other team, they made a big deal. So I was expecting Phoenix to come out in the next game and give them a run for their money. But what do? They come out and get crushed again. As of right now, the Knicks and the Bulls are playing, and it's a 10-point lead for the Knicks, which is another disappointment. I can't keep harping on the Knicks, though. I was a huge fan when they had the Patrick Ewing era. I've said that. I was a fan, but now the Knicks is like the modern day Knicks, the Carmelo Anthony Knicks. They just don't cut it for some place that's so, you play in Madison Square Garden. My question is, why does everyone that steps into Madison Square Garden, every opposing team has players that appreciate the Madison Square Garden, but the team that's home based in Madison Square Garden, they trash. They trash. Trae Young come, embarrass you. The Tatums, the LeBrons, so many players come there, and the Giannis's, they all appreciate playing in Madison Square Garden, and they come to put on a show. But the team that's there, they trash. They trash. It's no excuse for that. It's no excuse for the Knicks to be where they are, especially, you got Brunson, so you got a piece, but you still right there, probably going to make the play-in, probably going to make the playoffs or something with the way the rest of the league is looking, or when the rest of the East is looking. But at the same time, is that good enough? When you going to challenge? I'm looking forward to those. It used to be something when you say the Knicks and the Bulls are playing. Everybody would be tuned in. Everybody would be watching. because the Knicks would give the Bulls a fight all the time. They may not win, but they would give them a fight all the time. But you don't even get excited no more when you hear the Knicks, when you hear the Knicks and Bulls. Very disappointed, very lackluster these recent years, the last decade or more, couple of decades in my mind. They haven't really been that strong. They haven't really challenged for a crown, pushed the envelope at all. And I think the surprise to me is them not being able to. So is it a management thing? Is it an ownership thing that you're just not getting the right people? Because I see Utah still competing. Utah may not ever win a championship. Utah may not ever win a chip. But you can bet one thing: no matter who puts on the uniform Jazz jerseys, man, they come out, they play teamwork. Right now, they don't have a superstar. Look at the Utah Jazz. No superstar. No superstar. They just a bunch of guys, free agents, whatever, come together and they playing basketball, but they playing team ball, the traditional Utah Jazz team ball. I mean, they lost Rudy Gobert, they lost Donovan Mitchell, they lost their stars or traded their stars away. Or the stars are gone, but they still find a way to bring the Utah fans excitement. They still find a way to be relevant, to be a part of the conversation. So it's like New York, get it together. It's like, when you gonna get it together? And the Heat is struggling, but I think they'll turn it around because I think the coach is good and Jimmy Butler. Jimmy Butler just got the heart. If Jimmy Butler had like raw talent ability, because we know he worked his tail off to get where he is. We know his story. But if he just imagine if he had the abilities of a Jason Tatum. Imagine if he just had that gift. Then we would be saying the Heat would be unstoppable. But hey, it is what it is. The Heat need to bring it. And once the Heat, I think once they realize they might have to make a move. May have to make a trade or something, because Bam Adebayo, he's sometime and he's on and off. I want to see him rise to the occasion, but I want to see him rise to the occasion defensively, because I think he's a good defender. I think he's a great defender. Bam don't understand that he could possibly be the greatest defender, big man defender, since probably Hakeem Olajuwon if he goes after it, because we saw glimpses of it in the bubble. We saw pieces of it, but it's just not transitioning since the bubble much. And I wonder what's that fall off like. Was the bubble was the bubble one of those things? Was it a mirage? Because some of the players perform well in the bubble. Since that's over with, they really haven't returned to that. Like what was the guy, Tyler Hero and all that? Oh, those guys were great in the bubble. Great a little bit here and there during the regular season, but not so much now. And speaking of potentially great and could be great once he finds his stride, I'm going to say it again, Trae Young, find what you need to do. The Golden State Warriors are having the same problem with Klay Thompson. You got to know when to hold and when to fold. And it's like I watched the Golden State Warriors lose the other night, and lose last night to the Bucks, as a matter of fact. And it was partly due to the Bucks defense when Giannis had a poor game shooting, but it was mostly due to Klay Thompson shooting them out of the game. Like, man, they talk about West Brick. I mean, you got to come with, what do you call it, clay bricks or something. You know what I'm saying? Like Klay, because Klay throwing up bricks is like he too good of a player, and I think that's why they need to bring him off the bench. Like, consider bringing him off the bench. If you listen to me, they just might turn the corner quicker than what they anticipate now. Everybody expecting the Warriors to be around in the end, but there ain't going to be no end to be around if they keep playing around and not really getting it together. You can only be so patient before you know it, you're in the thick of things. And team, to me, that's on the upswing, and if they stay healthy, my pick for the West is real simple. Clippers. I'm taking the Clippers. And I take the Clippers because I like what they have going when they can play. Did you see what Brown and Tatum don't have anything for Kawhi and Paul George? Nobody has anything really for them when they're healthy. I mean, because those guys play defense. They can D you up. The length of the Clippers is scary. The the height, the um, forget what they can do on offense. If they can lock you down defensively, then the pressure's off to put up a lot of points, especially if they can stay healthy to the playoffs and they can make that run. I think the Clippers right now they work their way to the sixth spot over there in the West. I think they'll be a little bit higher than that, but you never know with them because a few years ago they dropped down. They to avoid the Lakers, they dropped down some spots. So you never know what their plan is. They try to move strategically, like it's chess or something. But at the same time, if they healthy, you got to look out for those guys. And to prove my point, if you listen to me, what did Patrick Beverly do last night in that game? See, people, that's the problem that I have. Like being right about something like that is silly, but it's right on the money. This guy couldn't make a layup on a fast break by himself at the bucket. I mean, that's Patrick Beverly. Come on, make a layup, bro. You ain't got to be all that talented to make a layup when nobody's challenging you. Like, put the ball in the bucket. Then traveling calls at the most inopportune times. And Russell Westbrook makes me mad. I went back to this because Westbrook, I forgot to mention last night in that game, the Boston Celtics, they set him up, especially late in the game, overtime. Westbrook was killing them going to the bucket, going to the basket, and he was dropping dimes and he was rebounding. But when he was going to the basket, he was so effective. But then, LeBron, we talked about this earlier, LeBron's IQ. If you got such a great IQ, why are you passing Westbrook the ball for 3-point shots when you know he's going to take the shot? Now, if I'm Westbrook, but I'm not Westbrook, I'm going to the basket and I'm making them guard me. It's like, do what you're good at. Put the pressure on the defense. They want you to shoot the three because they know you can't shoot the three. So what does he do? He shoots the three. No, go at him. Make them guard you. And then kick the ball to the open guys. Get a ball up. It's like, no. He decides to shoot. And, that cost him the game in the end. So, but in my mind, that's that deflecting. That's another way of saying, hey, Westbrook is on you. And it is somewhat because you got to play to your strengths. And I'm wondering if Darvin Ham is even saying that, hey, man, go to the bucket. They can't stop you if you go to the bucket. Go to the bucket. If you go to the basket, you don't have those problems. It's like play to your strengths. Stop listening to everybody else. Stop trying to develop a shot within the season. Stop all that. Play your game. Your game was putting pressure on the defense, pushing the rock, going at them. Cross them up a little bit, but go at them. I mean, I think that's going to make a difference once he understands what his strength is. And I can't believe a coach is not telling them, man, do you know your own strengths? But now I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to get into my picks for this NFL week coming up. Some good games Saturday. Remember, for those that don't remember, it's going to be 3 games played this Saturday in addition to the Sunday games. Which is going to make it very interesting to watch. Very interesting to see who's going to do what. But starting tomorrow night's game, we're going to start there. 49ers and Seahawks. 49ers and Seahawks. 49ers and Seahawks. I want to go there. Man, the 49ers are looking great. But I'm taking the Seahawks. And this is why I'm taking the Seahawks. I know it's a long chance, but I haven't given up on Pete Carroll and Geno Smith. I'm taking the Seahawks. These two teams are notorious for playing down to the wire in situations like this. The division is pretty much on the line. Everything's on the line for the Seahawks. They 7-6. If they lose this one, they go to 7-7. They can pretty much call it a day. So I think it's a playoff game for them, but it's a big game for the 49ers as well. But I'm just wanting the Seahawks to pull that out. It's going to be a tough task, though. That's a tough ask against that defense. But Colts, Vikings. I like what Jeff Saturday is doing. Thanks, Con, man. It was good to see you this morning. But Colts, Vikings. Whoo, man. I think I'm gonna take the Vikings in that one. You going San Fran? I don't blame you for that one, but I gotta go with the Seahawks. Something tell me the Seahawks gonna have a little bit of advantage. I've been wrong before though. Vikings, Colts. I'm taking the Vikings. Jeff Saturday, I was all caught up in the hype, but the team's just not very good. He went back to Matt Ryan. I thought that was a good move. I still think Matt Ryan is the way to go if you want to try to win. But Matt Ryan, he's still ducking from shadows until he can stand up in the pocket and deliver the ball. They're gonna have problems. And plus, the Vikings, they got something to prove after being embarrassed by the Detroit Lions last week. Ravens, Browns, another divisional rivalry. Without Lamar Jackson, that game's going to be closer than anybody thinks. But Deshaun Watson still knocking off the rust. And even still, with that being said, I'm taking the Browns. And I'm taking the Browns because I think Deshaun is good for one, and this may be his one, a hyped-up game, a division rival, everything to prove that he can still hang with the big boys. I think Deshaun going to have a breakout game. And plus, if they give the ball to Nick Chubb, they especially got a good chance of winning if they stick with Nick Chubb. Dolphins, Bills. I'm taking the Bills. I'm taking the Bills, and I'm only taking the Bills because I think they're the better team overall. But Josh Allen, I think he'll score a touchdown. And like I said, he don't want to be embarrassed like he was before. They're not going to lose twice. They know what's on the line. So I'm taking the Bills. Eagles, Bears. That's an easy one. I hate to say it, but diehard Dallas fan. But I got to ride with the Eagles on this one because the Bears, even though they're fun to watch, if Justin Fields plays, it'll be good to see Fields versus Hurts. That'll be a quarterback running affair. But the Bears don't have any defense to stop anybody. The Bears just trying to get it. You think the Bears in an upset? I don't think so. I don't think so because they're not trying. If the Bears coaching staff was trying to win or help Justin win, which they evidently not, I don't think they're gonna win just because I don't think the organization wants to win. I think they're looking for good draft picks. Lions, Jets. Now that's gonna be a good one. The Lions, Jets, man, that's a toss-up right there. The Lions, Jets is a toss-up, but I'm going with the Lions. And I'm going with the Lions. I think it's over for the Jets. Mike White, no Mike White, whatever. Mighty funny. Mike White is the better quarterback than Zach Wilson, hands down, but they can't win with Mike White. Somehow they were winning more games with Zach Wilson than they are with Mike White. Don't understand it. But I'm going with the Lions. I think the Lions are a little bit more hungry. And Steelers, Panthers. That's another tough one. I like what Steve Wilkes is doing. Tomlin trying to avoid his first losing season, which has been a theme this year. But I'm going to go with the Panthers. I think the Panthers have something meaningful to play for. Pittsburgh just playing not to be in the gutter, but the Panthers are playing. They could still potentially win their division. So I'm looking at those guys coming out and really giving them a run for the money. But TJ Watt, a healthy TJ Watt getting after Sam Darnold, and we know how he does. That's the infamous, I see ghosts. Remember when he was with the Jets and the Patriots was coming at him? I see, which I'll get there in a minute, but the Chiefs-Texans, taking the Chiefs in that one. The Chiefs shouldn't even struggle, even though the Texans are going to put up a fight, but it won't be a good one. Falcons-Saints. I'm taking New Orleans in that one. I was thinking the Falcons could have won that division. Excuse me. I was thinking the Falcons could have won that division. No. I gave up on them. They switched quarterbacks. They go into Ritter now. They benched Mariota. They come in with the rookie. They experimenting now. So I'm taking the Saints. Cowboys, Jaguars. The Jaguars are better than we thought, and they're going to compete. But I think after all the talk, the Cowboys better come out and put their foot down, and it shouldn't even be close. So I'm taking the Cowboys. The Cardinals and the Broncos. Now that's two teams. Russell Wilson, concussion. Brett Rippon is going to be the quarterback. I'm taking the Cardinals in that one. I'm taking Colt McCoy. Colt McCoy, he can pull one out because he got the better receivers. He got the better squad. So, but that Denver defense, if they can get some turnovers, they'll keep it close. Patriots, Raiders. Now, this is what I want to talk about. Red sleeves. Man, I'm a huge fan of that guy. I believe in that guy, man. Matthew Judon. Man, why he ain't playing on the other side from Michael Parsons or something? I don't know. But that guy is, man, single-handedly, he can change that game. Bill Belichick knows how to pick some good defensive players, man. Judon is really special out there. With that being said, I have no faith in the Raiders. I don't think the Raiders now they might surprise because that's just how they are, but I'm taking the Patriots in that one, even though the Patriots don't have a strong offense at all. And Stevenson may play. I think he's hurt. Well, he was hurt last week without him, but they could still run him back by committee. I think Josh Jacobs is going to have a good game. Devontae Adams may have decent numbers, but I think the pressure that Judah is going to put on Carr is going to be the difference in that game. Titans, Chargers. The Chargers need this win. The Titans want to stay ahead, but I'm going with Herbert in that one. I'm going to Herbert. For me, it's because, like I said earlier, the Chargers players are taking it upon themselves climb out of the hole that their coach put them in. And if their coach makes smart decisions, they should be around. It'll probably be a close game, but Derrick Henry, all you got to do is stop Derrick Henry and you stop the Titans. Year after year, it's the same thing. When are the Titans going, when is Vrabel going to get a passing game, something different to spice it up a little bit? If he had a better quarterback, I'm sure he would pass more. Time's getting ready, while time's running out here, let's go. Bengals, Bucks. I'm taking, believe it or not, I'm taking the Bengals. I don't see the Bucks having anything on it. We saw what happened to them. Joe Burrow's gonna get his chance to beat the GOAT. Giants, Commanders Sunday night. Two division rivals. I really don't care who wins that game. But since I'm picking winners, I'm going to pick the Commanders. I think they just better. I think Heineke, my dude, man. I think Heineke's a good player. Slept on a little bit, and the Rams, Packers. Now I don't know why they didn't flex that game to a more meaningful Monday night game. But since they didn't flex it to a more meaningful Monday night game, I'm going to go with the Packers. I mean, the Rams don't have anything. Baker Mayfield, he may pull off the upset, but I'm going with the Packers in that one. Baker Mayfield better not go in there and beat Aaron Rodgers. He better not go, he better not go to Lambeau. Baker Mayfield better not. If so, Baker Mayfield going to make a bunch of us look foolish, man. I think McVay, I'm going to end the show like this. I think McVay is going to keep Baker Mayfield next season, I think the Rams are going to offer him a deal because they don't know what's going to happen with Matthew Stafford, and I think McVay believes in this guy. If you saw the excitement in McVay's face when they won that game, so I think Baker Mayfield may have found him a new home, whether in a backup role or possibly even starter, depending on what happens to Matt Stafford. But that's my time. That's the show. Thanks, Sports for America, for putting me on, man. Catch me next Wednesday, 8 p.m. It's a diehard fan, the people's coach, Cornelius Cole. Have a good one.